Hey everyone, welcome to Side Draft Media. This is our first official YouTube episode. I wanted to thank everybody so much for being here with us. We're learning as we go. Just wanted to take a second to thank everybody that supported the YouTube channel up to now, including my buddy Ryan here. Ryan actually got to have an experience at Pocono Raceway, and we're going to jump right into it, man. Let's not waste any time. Ryan, talk to us about Pocono, man.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for the support, and we hope to continue to see you guys come view our page. And thank you, Don, for having me. So I'm Ryan, and yeah, we're here to chat all things NASCAR and racing. So let's get to it. Last weekend, I had a VIP experience at Pocono Raceway. It was really, really fun. First of all, anytime you get to go to the track is amazing. So if you haven't been to a NASCAR race yet, stop wasting time. Do it.
Get your butts out there, man.
Yeah, it's an experience unlike no other. But yeah, I was blessed to be out there on at the track, and on Friday night, we'll start Friday night. I was invited out. My friends in the band Turning the Tide. We're doing the infield block party that Pocono throws on Pocono Raceway, and Nasty Beast Unleash. We're the sponsor of the Pocono block party that my friends at Turning the Tide performed at.
And something tells me Monster knows how to put on a party.
Monster definitely knows how to put on a party. Let me tell you something. So I arrive at the track. The truck race was actually still going on when I got there because of the weather delays that they experienced Friday night. And so as I'm pulling in the tunnel turn to grab my credentials and such for the evening, I could see the trucks riding behind me in the tunnel turn. Corey Heim obviously got the win. So congratulations to Corey. And but yeah, then the partying began. So I pull in, I grab my stuff, I get over to the Nasty Beast big blow up that they had. Pop out of my car after I park, turn the corner after I get out of the car, and right there is Mr. Tyler Reddick. Yeah, Tyler was there to help party with everybody in the infield. For a good chunk of the evening, he was there, and man, it was an excellent time.
What's it like
Yeah,
partying with Tyler Reddick? I mean, we watch this guy race incredibly every single weekend. Tell me what he's like outside the race car. I'm sure people want to know what a firsthand driver experience is, especially in party mode.
yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm going to tell you that Tyler is a very stand-up dude. Super nice guy. You would have thought he was just part of the crowd. The way he interacted with everybody was just very chill. It was a calm, chill approach. He was very personable and easy to chat with, but also very fun. He was very loose and actually played some Nasty Beast Pong.
There you go.
Not beer pong, Nasty Beast Pong.
Nasty beast. It's got to be the
Yeah,
beast, man.
yeah, absolutely. The cups were filled with water, though.
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
everybody had their own can, So,
Right.
but the cups were filled with water because we had a lot of games of Nasty Beast Pong going on that evening under the tent. Um, just Tyler was very kind to share some time to chat with me, about racing in general. I've been following Tyler's career for a long time now. So and I know that's a common interest Don and I share is Tyler Reddick is one of our preferred drivers.
Absolutely. Love watching
You
the
know,
man race. The guy's incredible on the racetrack.
absolutely an Xfinity champion, and a champion on and off the track. Honestly, the guy's a great personality. Fun, like messing around with me while we're playing Nasty Beast Pong. I was actually my teammate was not Tyler. I was playing against him and another. At one
So
point was a monster.
does his competitiveness on the track
Yes,
translate over into hanging out?
absolutely. And it was all in good fun too. But yes, absolutely. Um, I was joking around with him because the guy couldn't make a shot for a little bit, and I was like, dude, Michael Jordan is your boss. Get some pointers, think
Right, right.
to sink some cups here. But
Flip that wrist
my
a
t-
little bit, Tyler. Flip that
yeah,
wrist.
yeah, absolutely. My teammates were the Monster Energy girls, so poor me, right?
Right.
Uh,
That sounds like a terrible. That
uh,
sounds like a terrible time.
Yeah, sounds like a terrible time. It was really fun. Everybody, again, the Monster Energy team that was there, the Nasty Beast crew, they put on a fun party. They were all very welcoming, warming, and personable. The Monster Energy girls were taking photos all night with fans in the infield, and as well as Tyler. Tyler signed some items for me. Got some great pictures throughout the evening, and yeah, if we figure out a way to share photos on these screens while we're doing this broadcast, it'd be great because we could always share those.
Absolutely.
But
That's something I'm gonna start working on so that we can start getting some digital images and videos tied into these podcasts that we're doing. That way the fans can see exactly what we're experiencing with them. And that's something that we're gonna learn as we go. I'm really looking forward to it. Personally, I'm looking forward to learning all these new things. I've hit a point in my life where I wasn't learning anything anymore, and I was like, you know what? I need to put my head down and learn some stuff. So that'll be a great opportunity to do that.
yeah, and everybody needs to know we're here to have fun, and we are learning as we go with podcasting, but we're not learning as we go as far as NASCAR and racing goes.
Yeah, we might know a little bit about NASCAR.
Don and I have shared some conversations, and we know a little bit. With racing, I've been a fan since I was in diapers, and I'll be a fan when I'm in diapers again. So it's and everything in between. So yeah,
and same story. I literally grew up at the race car shop. My uncle raced late models out at San Antonio Speedway back when that track was still open. RIP San Antonio Speedway. They actually just announced last fall they are tearing it down for good. It seems like they're going to build a gas station over it or something. But hopefully I can get out there and get a piece of asphalt before it's torn out and kind of keep that with me as something that I can remember when I get older and maybe pass down my stories as I get older too. So yeah, a long history of loving NASCAR. Here we are in 2024. Never would have thought I'd be starting a podcast with a buddy of mine and of course other race fans. I can't wait to have more guests with us.
Absolutely.
But let's get back to Pocono a little bit. Talk to me about the Cup race. What was it like being there in person for a Pocono race?
Wow. So my morning started again checking in. I was on VIP weekend, so I had to check in with my credential with NASCAR and get my pass for the day. We did get on a little bit of a weather hold because welcome to Pennsylvania. It popped up.
Breaking news for NASCAR.
Yeah, really. But even welcome to the Pocono Mountains because I mean it could be beautiful one second and pop up storm the next, but especially this time of year. But anyway, brief weather hold. Making friends under the canopies that that NASCAR put myself, other VIP guests, and crew members that were arriving underneath a safe area. So I was chatting with people and just shooting the NASCAR breeze. And but then we finally in. I spent the majority of my day with JGR and the 20 crew. I am also a Christopher Bell supporter, and I followed Seabell in his dirt days as well. So it was a really, really fun day. It started in the morning where once we were allowed in, they took the covers off the car. I was chatting with Adam Stevens, Christopher's crew chief.
Nice.
We were talking about the setup that he was planning on putting some adjustments for practice into the car. That they had their meetings and, they knew what direction they wanted to try to go into to start the race off. And so, just a matter of executing that, the team, of course, doing their thing under Adam's guidance. It was really fun to sit back and watch that unfold. And then they were getting the car ready to take to the grid while I had to excuse myself because I was actually a part of the drivers' meeting. So that's where I actually got to interact more. My first time seeing Christopher was him arriving at the drivers' meeting, as well as Tyler. Tyler remembered me from Friday night, so we shared a quick hello as they were taking their seat, and Christopher said, "I'll catch up with you after the meeting." Those who aren't aware, that drivers' meeting occurs very close to the drivers taking their walk to the grid and doing driver introductions.
Absolutely. NASCAR's made a point, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. NASCAR's made a point to have all that information that they get in the drivers' meetings fresh in their head right before they get in that race car. You don't
Absolutely.
You don't want to have an early morning meeting and then the guys go off and do their own thing for a few hours and everything just kind of washes
Right.
through, right? So it's good to do it right before the race starts. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So there is actually little time for those drivers to interact. However, Christopher's a stand-up guy. Took some time with me, as much as he could to chat real quick, take a few photos, and then I was able to walk out with him to the grid where getting ready for driver intros. I took a spot along some of USA's finest. Hats off to our men and women in uniform, where they were holding flags, and it was really cool procession that the drivers would walk through to go onto the stage for the driver intros for the grandstand to see. They hop in a vehicle real quick, do their little parade, and then they make their way to the cars, which they welcomed me. JGR welcomed me to the grid.
That's
So
super cool, man.
yeah,
And what I
it's
love about the NASCAR community is when you are down there in the guts and the pits and all that, is everybody is so kind. Everybody's game face, but everybody is just so kind, very welcoming. You really rarely run into a grumpy person unless your car just
right.
crashed out. You're not really running into a grumpy person down there in the pits or drivers or crew members. Everybody's very, very welcoming. And that's one of the things I love about this sport so much.
They are. You would have thought that I was part of the JGR crew. The way that they treated me allowed me to be within, arm's reach, of these people. I actually was fortunate enough as I'm walking down. Coach Gibbs was also walking down, so we shared a moment. We were chatting, and I'll tell you, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm from Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania.
Well, now
And
we're
so
gonna lose followers just
yeah.
because of that, man.
So, but my point was, Joe Gibbs was always kind of like the enemy because being the
Redskins.
a Hall of Fame coach from the Redskins. But I never found it in my heart to hate the man because he's just such a nice guy.
Absolutely.
Welcoming, nice guy, and all the opportunities and things that he's brought to NASCAR as an owner. Giving guys like Christopher Bell, a chance to cut their teeth and succeed, as well as greats like Bobby Labonte and Kyle Busch. And Dale Jarrett drove for
Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart. There's so many good drivers that have come from JGR or have driven there, and and those opportunities sometimes at first came from JGR. So Joey Logano, he's a Cup champion. He started with them too. So it's just great to see how much he's invested himself into the sport and how much he was willing to take time to chat with a guy like me and thanked me. He thanked me for, everything I've done as a fan to, to continue to support. And that's humbling, man. I'll tell you, when you have a guy like that
really
thanking you.
Right. And which is really important. And it's wonderful that these guys, these huge name guys, take time to thank the fans, because let's be real, without the fans, without the dollar bills we're putting towards these teams and these t-shirts and these die casts and these tickets, NASCAR doesn't happen. They need us, they need us just as much as we need them. So for a big time owner like Coach Gibbs to show you that firsthand appreciation is really special. And I love hearing that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the relationship with professional sports is, you nailed it. They need us, we need them. And, we make the world go round together, so
right.
Yeah, it was great. And Joe was awesome, took some time with me. And then I also met Christopher's wife, Morgan Bell. She's a sweetheart. She chatted with me for a little bit, and then I stood next to them for the anthem. And Christopher gave me a fist bump as he was getting in his car. Said, "Thanks, buddy. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the show," type of deal. And
awesome.
He got in the car, and I went into the pit box. So
awesome.
Watch the race from the 20 crew with the 20 crew for the day.
What an experience that must have been, just to be in so close and in touch with every single aspect of racing that NASCAR, other than being inside the race car turning laps, to have that kind of access that you had, which is available to fans. I know some tracks don't offer that kind of experience, but there are a lot of tracks that do. You can get your VIP or your hot passes, check online, check every single track's website. If they're nearby you, check it out, man. The access is there. You just got to go find it.
Yeah, now I do want to say because that is available, and uh, NASCAR has recently changed their policy though. So if you're interested in something like that, you're going to a race, you need at least 4 weeks to get your credential approved through NASCAR. So
Right.
it's a little bit of a process again, and they can't just, they have to go through their thing to vet people and whatever it is they do, because I know you have to give your ID and all that stuff. They have to know you're a
Right.
legit person, and
Yeah, it's definitely a
but
legit process.
they do welcome VIPs, and you too can have an experience similar. Fortunately, the JGR guys and being a part of a Christopher Bell Facebook page and stuff like that kind of helped open some doors for me too. So
Absolutely.
they knew I was coming, but it was a very humbling experience, and a bucket list type of experience for me, because it'd be like, diehard football fans watching the game, standing next to the head coach on the field. It's the same, transplant NASCAR. Like crew chief Ab Stevens right up there. You're seeing him call the shots. You're seeing the team strategists, calculating fuel, getting fuel, getting tire information, watching them weigh the fuel tanks, because after a fill up, they know, yes, how many gallons that tank holds, but not every drop of gas sometimes gets into those tanks. And the way they know that is they weigh them before and after, and then
Right.
they can calculate fuel mileage based off of the weight of the fuel they got into the car to know how much. Because on a day like last Sunday when you're at Pocono, it was hotter, fuel's lighter. So it changes with the elements. So it's really
All
interesting to
those
see all
variable
the
changes that
intricacies. Yeah,
right, the variable changes that people don't really know about. That's great information. I love it.
yeah.
And then unless you're Joey Logano in that pit crew, then fuel mileage that doesn't matter at all. They can run an entire race, probably another half of a race on a single tank of gas from experience. But we'll leave that to what was that? Was that Nashville that he took that win?
Yeah, it was
And a fuel mileage strategy that really paid off for him. No, in all
right.
seriousness, Joey Logano was actually running in the middle of the pack, which actually allowed him to save as much fuel as he did. Once all the overtimes happened and he filtered to the front, he had just enough to get him to the finish line. So that was a great strategy
Yeah,
call on their part.
right. Everybody was on fumes at the end of that race. It was
Absolutely.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about, I want to get your opinion on Corey LaJoie and Kyle Busch. We recently saw Kyle Busch join Pat McAfee's show. Pat has an awesome podcast where he covers a lot of different topics. He really starts firing off during football season, but he did a 15-minute block with our own rowdy Kyle Busch from the NASCAR Cup Series, two-time champion. And Kyle Busch spoke out on Corey LaJoie. What are your thoughts on that, man? What do you think about what Kyle said?
Well, I had a chance to watch a little bit and read up on what he said, and um, said how Corey called him. He didn't even bother because Corey's story changed multiple times.
Right.
And in Kyle's eyes, he views that as, he's lying or just trying not to take ownership of what really happened on the track. And he goes, yeah, bottom line is you wrecked me and payback's coming. That's, from Kyle Busch.
And with
Um,
with Kyle Busch, we usually get the blunt end of the media part. So when Kyle Busch says something, you better take it for what it is.
right. And I mean, it kind of is what it is. Corey did what he did. He's changed his story a couple of times, and it does make it seem a little bit sketchy. I'm not one to try to favor one person over the other, but when you look at the story of he said, you kind of do favor in the side of Kyle Busch here, because Corey has changed his story, and it's documented, and to a point where Kyle doesn't want to hear it. Now, will any retaliation actually take place on the racetrack? Who knows? Because we've seen recently, as of the Chicago street race with Bubba Wallace, fines will be dished out by NASCAR. NASCAR has never shied away from stuff like that. So if he does, it could lighten his pocketbook a little bit, depending on how the situation goes down. But again, it's Rowdy Busch though, so I put nothing past him.
And I'm
And
really glad you brought up the fines, because we did see Carson Hocevar. He got fined for spinning Harrison Burton, and then we
Mhm.
saw Bubba Wallace get fined for basically door slamming Alex Bowman after the Chicago Street Course, both ending up in fines. Now, one ended up with a points penalty. Bubba Wallace did not receive a points penalty, I think, due to the variable differences in the actual incidents. That's why Bubba didn't get as much of a hit as Carson Hocevar did.
Right.
When Chicago Street, or excuse me, when Corey LaJoie spun Kyle Busch, of course, knee-jerk reaction was Corey's going to get fined. Like, we've seen this 2 weeks in a row.
Mhm.
When you slow it down and you see the replay over and over and over and over and over, it really did seem more like a racing incident that could have been avoided, where Corey put himself in a really rough position that ended up taking out some really good race cars that day and a very, very deeply struggling Kyle Busch. So I fully expected to see a fine come. Tuesday and Wednesday hit last week and nothing happened. And then finally NASCAR said, we reviewed the situation. Corey LaJoie will not be receiving a penalty. Do you think that played a part in Kyle Busch saying what he said on the Pat McAfee show? Whereas he didn't seem to have a lot to say before the penalty announcement or the non-penalty announcement?
Yeah, maybe it angered him a little bit. I mean, you see how NASCAR's handled things in the past, and everybody just wants consistency from NASCAR as far as
Absolutely.
how penalties are going to be handled. But in retrospect, like you just mentioned, and NASCAR said that they reviewed it a couple times. I too watched it. I don't think that Corey necessarily said, "I'm dumping Kyle Busch."
Right.
I don't think it came from any place of malice. I do believe that it was a bonehead move, but and that still is enough to upset a driver when you're on a streak like Kyle Busch has had with bad luck on potentially good finishing race cars.
Right.
You know, you get frustrated because when's enough going to be enough when you're doing everything you can to try to position yourself to get some good finishes together and fight for a playoff spot. Now it's to
Right.
the point where Kyle is, Kyle and the A team are their backs against the wall. They need a win to probably get in. I don't think points is going to be, you know, a
No,
possibility for them.
the eight
So
car, the 8 team, and Richard Childress Racing, they are definitely not going to make this thing on points. They've still got other drivers ahead of them that they would have to beat out, and they would have to finish top five every single race. I just don't see the odds are not in their favor. It's definitely going to take a win, and as luck may have it, it's going to have to be at a wild card like Daytona. I just don't see that 8 car unloading at any of these tracks coming up, and producing the results that they need. And we're seeing what's really attributing to Kyle's struggles is he's qualifying poorly. So that just lets you know that their practices aren't getting them anywhere. It's putting them 20th or worse, and they're ending up getting caught up in a lot of these other drivers' mess. And it's just making for a really frustrating season for the 8 crew and all of the Kyle Busch Rowdy Nation, if you will, fans. Um, but it'll be
and
really interesting to see how he finishes out the regular season and if he's able to get that win, because I think it's going to have to be Daytona if it's going to be anywhere.
and if I may add to it, I mean it's not just them; it's the three team too. They're just all around
Absolutely.
frustrated. Well, when I was in the Christopher Bell pit box, to the right of me was the three team, Austin Dillon's team, and I mean we get 10 laps into the race, and you could already start to see and read body language of how they were just dejected. I know that they started to have some issues and they were even coming back in. They were trying to play that you could tell that they were trying to play a fuel mileage and strategy game from the jump because they knew they needed to do something different to beat everybody else that had the pace to
Right.
run up front. And it just never, the race never played into their favor at all, but they were constantly coming in to top off and do anything and everything they could to maybe put themselves in position to steal a good finish. And it's just there's events that happened in the race. You could just see the dejection when the thing went down with Kyle Busch. Richard Childress was actually to my right, walking down towards the three, and you could just see the disgust and read the body language. Now I had my headset on. I'm dialed into the 20, but I can you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand what was being projected. I mean, their emotion was being worn on their sleeve and faces hard, and you can't say for a moment it doesn't matter to those guys, because you could see everybody there. They're just so invested into their teams, and doing everything they can, and they're struggling. They're riding the struggle bus RCR right now, and um, they're not the RCR of the Dale days. Even when Kevin Harvick was there, we see Kyle Busch come to this team, and you think that it's going to be a rebirth for them. They landed A-list driver, and it's just been anything but consistency for them. They really do struggle, more so than not, unloading right out of the truck.
And a lot of opinions pointed towards that Kyle Busch was really going to be able to mentor and help Austin Dillon. And it just really doesn't seem like that relationship. Now, we just see what we see on media, but it really just doesn't seem like that relationship has really gelled the way a lot of people were hoping they would, with Kyle's experience and his ability to win championships to maybe trickle into Austin Dillon and build his confidence. But we just haven't seen that out of RCR. We saw Kyle Busch get his 3 wins in 2023, but they were still the wins were great, but the inconsistency throughout the season and into his playoff run was abysmal at best.
Right.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how RCR moves forward, and especially with a successful Xfinity teams that they're running down there with the 2 and the 21 with Austin Hill and Jesse Love. They are doing really well this season. Jesse Love being just new meat, really, is putting together a really fascinating season.
He's impressive for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure, yeah.
And speaking of Xfinity, man, we had a little a yard of bricks action today with Xfinity boys, man. Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. What a race. First of all, if you sit here and tell me that Indianapolis doesn't deserve to be an oval race, man, did I miss seeing these cars go around that track. And what a finish. I mean, first of all, congratulations, Riley Herbst. Hard fought win, and man, just slide jobbing it through that corner to pass for the lead.
Those boys were getting after it. It reminded me of late models at your short track. That was absolutely beautiful racing.
Incredible finish. And they raced each other clean too. I mean, those 3 could have easily wiped each other out. Amarola going for the lead. Cole Custer could have pinched, and obviously the 2 Stewart-Haas cars were up front, in the mix. And I do believe that neither of them wanted to do anything to jeopardize each other's finish and ruin the day for the team, because they were dominant. Those 2 cars.
I was surprised to see Riley give Cole. I was really surprised to see Riley give Cole that bumper the way he did, but he did it in a way to where he gave himself a half a lane to slide underneath him. He didn't move him into the out of the groove, and basically punt his teammate. He did it clean. He gave him a little bit of a bumper, said, "I'm here also," and then put the car where it needed to be to get by him.
He had to run him down too to get there. So
he saved it.
He was entitled to be there.
Right. He saved it all for the last 5 laps. He planned it and timed it perfectly. Now we throw in the wild card. Eric Amarola says, hey, in the JGR number 20, he says, hey, wait a minute. I got something to say for you 2 Stewart-Haas race machines. So Eric Amarola actually crosses the white flag first when those 2 are battling. I mean, it was such a beautiful, beautiful race. And I will take that, all the way. I will take that kind of racing all day long. Just to see Riley Herbst see his lead disappear in the matter of half of a straightaway, and then he turns around and chases down Eric Almirola the exact same way he chased down his teammate Cole Custer, did the exact same thing, and then, like you said, gave him the slide job, held on to it. A lot of guys overcorrect there and just completely plow the wall at Indianapolis. When you got these big wide turns like that, you just see them just hook and just smash the wall. Riley Herbst held onto that thing, put his foot to the metal and said, nah, this one's mine, guys. I got this.
Yeah. Flat out earned that win today. So hats 100%. Off to the flat out earned it. So hats off to Riley and his 98 team, the Monster Energy crew. They really both of those Haas cars, the Stewart-Haas cars, just unloaded
rocket
wild
ships.
There. Yeah, absolutely.
Rocket ships.
Yeah. And speaking of rocket ships, how about the 97 car, SVG, getting it together?
We got to talk about Shane, man.
We do. Because I was just thoroughly impressed with how well he ran today. And I kind of I expected him to run really well here because of the style of racing that is Indianapolis Oval.
Absolutely.
It is not your typical oval like a Nashville or intermediate track. It has those four corners that you really you can treat like a road course in a way, the way you can drive in a little bit deeper and do things with your braking to make up distance and time in those corners, to find speed down the straightaways. And I
But who's
thought
better? Who's better at the throttle control and the shifting than
yeah,
Shane Van Gisbergen? Right?
I don't know. I mean, and I'll tell you, and I know we've talked privately about this, and when this guy figures out the ovals like he's starting to do, watch out. He's going to be a problem big time in the series. And he won't be in Xfinity long because he figures out these ovals. The cup crews and teams are going to be itching to have him.
And we've already gotten a little sample size of him in the Cup cars, so we know he's just as capable of handling those Cup cars as he is these Xfinity cars. He's obviously probably going to rattle off Rookie of the Year. Is that safe to say with a few races left in the season?
Yeah, I don't see it not happening. I mean, he's got 3 wins already.
Who else do you give it to?
Should have more. And if it weren't for Austin Dillon, he was winning COTA. So
yeah, that was a rough one. I was actually there live for the COTA race, and I was losing my mind. Of course, you're watching most of it on the big screen there on the front straightaway because you can't see a lot of the course as the action is taking place. And hats off to Kyle Larson for stealing that win because he probably doesn't get that win if Austin and Shane race each other clean. Now that's really hard racing on both of their parts. That's road course racing at its worst and its best.
Right.
But Shane definitely let Austin know when he won Sonoma that that win was for you, Bubba. I just want to let you know, and burned it down all the way around the racetrack right in front of Austin Hill. So listen, let's talk about Shane a little bit. That character this guy is bringing to the Xfinity series, that's really important for NASCAR, and it's really important for the fans to have these likable personalities so that we can start building these rivalries and stuff again. We know Denny Hamlin's taking on the villain role. Shane Van Gisbergen's coming in and taking on this like just nice, kind. He almost comes off like a little country boy, just homegrown and just loves that he's out there. You watch him get out of the race car, whether he has gotten wrecked out or wins the race, he's always got a smile on his face. It's contagious.
You took the words out of my mouth, man. I mean, his smile is he's always got a smile on his face, and he's just so happy to be here doing this and getting this opportunity to grow his craft, because I mean, he dominated in Australia and in New Zealand where he was running the rallies, and now he's here kicking these cup guys' butts on road courses, street races, and and Xfinity, three road course wins in Xfinity. I feel like the oval win's going to happen. It's got to happen if he wants to contend in the postseason. But
absolutely.
But what a rookie season he's put together, and I'm glad to have him here. I mean, how can you not? It's a breath of fresh air into the sport, in my opinion.
That's a great way to put it.
Having a guy like him here.
Right. I'm very grateful that we have this personality in NASCAR, and that's not taking anything away from a lot of the personalities that already make up this sport, the established guys and the guys that have made a name for themselves. But as far as, like you said, a breath of fresh air, the guy brought it, and he's having a blast doing it. His celebration, he's got his own signature celebration, and I really hope it inspires other drivers. And it really seems to be a Trackhouse thing. You got Ross with his melon. Every time he wins, he gets to smash a melon off the top of his race car. Daniel Suarez and his taco piñata. I think that's so clever. I think it's great engagement with the fans that can relate. And now you got Shane Van Gisbergen bringing the rugby ball all the way from New Zealand and signing it and kicking it. That is just great stuff. And it's really important for NASCAR to have these types of personalities.
Absolutely. I agree. I love the celebrations that they do. It's fun. Like you said, it seems to be a Trackhouse thing. So, I don't know if everybody needs to do it, but the Trackhouse guys definitely got the lock on that type of celebration. They
got
really
the celebrations locked up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's segue into some Cup for BrickYard, man. We getting the Cup guys back at the Indianapolis Oval. Remind me again, this is the first time the next gen car will be run on the Indianapolis Oval. Is that correct?
Absolutely, which
Okay.
is yeah, this is a fun part because this is an unpredictable race. Now, in years past, if we were consistently running the oval, and they always kind of partnered this race with Pocono in the sense that Indy had followed Pocono. The Brickyard was always after a Pocono race. And in years past, when that was the case with the other gen cars, you would see um, similarities. Obviously, they're long, flat straightaways with their unique turnstile at Pocono Raceway, similar with the Brickyard. Now, those corners are more even and consistent at the Brickyard than they are at Pocono. You have three different turns at Pocono, but there are so many similarities that a lot of Cup teams used to bring the car they would run at Pocono to Indy. You know, go take it back to the shop, quick, turn it around, and go. And
Right.
especially because there were guys that when you won there, you definitely wanted to take your piece. I think of guys like we could go back to the most recent winner at Pocono on the oval was Kevin Harvick. And then the year that he won at Pocono had two races at the time. He was second and first. So, the
And it wasn't
coincidence
by accident, that's for sure.
wasn't a coincidence because I've seen other guys do it, like Bill Elliott, awesome Bill. He won a race at Pocono when he was running for Ray Evernham and turned around, took that car to the Brickyard, and he went back to back, which was two huge popular wins for most popular driver in the sport at the time. Seeing that, but there was always that similarity, and a lot of Cup teams would think of it as a copy paste type of race. And then you enter into this year where we have Pocono, and now we're heading into Indy weekend, and I am super stoked about this. But you are seeing some consistency now. A guy that we had seen run really, really well at Pocono um, threw himself on the pole today, and Tyler Reddick. He had a extremely fast car at Pocono, very consistent and speeds all weekend there, and then shows up at Indy and is just blowing people's doors off. The corner entry speed that he has and that he's able to carry off, he's going to be a tough beat tomorrow.
And which is a
Tyler Reddick
testament to his
is
crew chief. And
Billy Scott. Yeah, Billy Scott
Billy
has got
Scott is putting some
him on
outstanding
lock right
race
now.
cars on the racetrack. And I'm sorry to talk over you, but I apologize.
That's okay.
That team, the 45 team in 2311, they are putting absolute rockets on these racetracks, whether it's ovals, shorts, intermediates, or road courses. Tyler Reddick is in contention for a top 5 or a win every single week. They've even put in these rain shortened races that they're not sure if they're going to end under red flag and a rain finish under red flag basically.
Yeah.
He's been in those contentions. He's been leading, I think, twice in 2 of those where people were kind of saying, "Hey, let's if they call this race, Tyler's going to get that W." So
Yeah,
he is always
New Hampshire was the case. He was there. He
right.
was there doing his rain dance, and had they not gone back. Now for me that was a double-edged sword because you got your guy, you got one of your guys there, but then they do go back and they put those rain tires on, and then Christopher Bell comes in, and I'm like, okay, so it worked out. One of my guys won that day, but
Right.
yeah, you're absolutely right. The strategy calls, where, and I'll be honest, at times you question some of the strategy calls in the earlier part of the season with Billy Scott. They really are firing on all 8 cylinders right now, and they've always been a consistent team this year. The statistics are there. The data is there. He has got as far as if you throw points out the window, they have the best average finish.
Right.
Out of every car in the field, the 45 crew has the best average finish right now. And that is saying something. That's a
Absolutely.
huge statement because you need consistency and you need to be consistent in order to give yourself the opportunity to get wins. So
Right.
hats off to them right now, and congratulations on the pole today. That 45 is a rocket. That nasty beast car is going to be a tough beat tomorrow for sure.
Absolutely. And if anybody were to beat it, we gotta bring up these Hendrick boys, man. These guys, they all season long, they never go away. You got your Kyle Larsons, of course, that's always going to be there, beating your favorite driver. Chase Elliott finally got that win taken care of at Texas Motor Speedway. I was very fortunate enough to be there live for that one. Another one I thought Bubba Wallace was actually going to take, as he had an absolute just incredible Toyota Camry that day. Just got caught up in some bad air and just never really could recover after the spin that he took. But Chase Elliott does win. He gets his playoff spot. Alex Bowman wins at Chicago. He's got his playoff spot. William Byron, of course, he got his playoff spot the day that the season started at Daytona. So he's been on cruise control pretty much the rest of the regular season, on top of adding 2 wins. Do we see a Hendrick possible 1, 2, 3, 4 at Indy this weekend?
Well, I would have to say I hope not, but it's very possible. You can never, ever say that that's not possible, because let's be honest, when it comes to Hendrick Motorsports, they are one of the elite teams in NASCAR.
Absolutely.
They're showing up with their I's dotted, T's crossed, and they are what we would consider the elite in the sport, and that many teams were chasing for many, many years. Now with this new next-gen car, things have equalized a little bit, and
I do like the equalizer that we've received with the next gen car. I think that's really important for sport.
And that was the whole purpose behind NASCAR doing it, is to allow some of these smaller teams like the Michael McDowells of the world to compete every week and show up to the racetrack, not just to run laps. You have a shot to win a race. But you can't count out JGR either. Denny Hamlin starting second. He had a very fast Toyota in practice. Ty Gibbs is, again, last week at Pocono, he's on the pole. This week he's starting 6th. Christopher Bell, his pace had fallen off today from what we had seen him run in practice yesterday. Right. But I would never count the 20 team out. They're
going to make the necessary adjustments they need to as the race starts getting going, and they'll be just as much in contention as anybody else.
And last week's race winner, Ryan Blaney, is starting 7th, and so some of those names you're used to seeing up front are starting up front this week. I will say back-to-back weeks with a good starting spot is John Hunter Nemechek in his Toyota Legacy Motorsports. Seemed to find something the last 2 weeks to get them some speed. I know on the speed charts, even Jimmy Johnson was running really well on lap averages, like on the 5 and the 10 lap averages. Don't count old Jimmy Johnson out. He is in this race this weekend.
Old 7-time is a 4-time champion at the BrickYard. So definitely.
Absolutely would love to see him run well this weekend too. I know, he's taken a backseat team owner role, and, since he's come back to NASCAR after doing the IndyCar, scratching that itch. It'd be cool to see him run well and get a decent finish this weekend for the 48 team, or 84 team. Sorry. 84 team. Yep.
Ain't that 48 no more. But hey, shout out to Alex Bowman. He has done justice on that 48 car. I believe he's up to 8 wins in his career ever since Jimmy Johnson retired. It's really cool to see the tradition continue. I know 48 fans really love seeing that car up front. Talk to me about Bubba Wallace a little bit. I know everybody's got their opinion on Bubba Wallace, whether you're for him, you're against him, or you don't care. Bubba Wallace seems to find himself in position to win a lot of these weeks. Unfortunately, he does get caught up in other people's messes sometimes. And he's even taken accountability for some of the incidents that he's been in that he feels he may have caused. With him on the outside of the playoffs looking in, do you think it's possible he gets in on points still? Can he chase these Ross Chastains and Chris Buescher down? We know he's not catching Martin Truex Jr. Truex is probably very safely into the playoffs on points alone. But as far as Bubba goes, can we see the 23 and the 2311 team get 2 cars into the playoffs this year?
Why not? That is my answer. Why not? Because they did make up ground last week at Pocono. They had a really good points race, really good weekend for them as a team. 2311 had a very solid weekend at Pocono. I expect to see more of the same this weekend. Bubba seems to. Now I know Bubba is starting. What's it? P17.
He's in 17th this week.
Yeah. So starting 17th. So he's got a little bit of a ladder decline, but I feel like they're trending the right direction too. Now, of course, the easiest path to get into the postseason is to get that win. And anybody who knows Bubba knows he's a really good plate racer. So you do have Daytona probably circled on his calendar. That is a huge opportunity for him. But why not continue to pound out those good solid runs?
Get you your top
And
tens, get you some points.
stage points, will help too. But yeah, I mean, why not? I've seen I've seen crazier things happen. Nobody expected him to make a run and as deep as he did into the postseason last year. And he overcame all those obstacles. So why not? 23-11, as far as the team is concerned, I really feel they do a great job working together to make sure both drivers are getting the opportunities they need to succeed. Tyler Reddick kind of taking the reins as far as that team is concerned. He has been like we had just said, the model of consistency throughout the entire series. He's best average finish in all of NASCAR. So, but Bubba is, in my eyes, a talented driver. The sport needs him because he is one of those polarizing personalities that you need.
He's a
Um,
lightning rod.
you
He
can't
really
have a bunch
is.
of you can't have a bunch of stiffs walking around, and strapping into the car. You need some of that personality and that drama on the track, off the track. And it makes for a good follow and for good TV, dare I say, because let's be honest, people like him, or whether you love him or hate him, you're tuning in, you're gonna be, where's Bubba? Love him or hate him, you're going, where's Bubba?
Right.
So
And whether you like him or not, you're probably commenting on Bubba Wallace stuff on social media. So
absolutely.
that's
So
the kind of stuff that we need in the sport. So,
yeah,
hats off
yeah,
to Bubba.
yeah. The sport needs him, and people may give me flack for saying that, but I think he's all around a great guy. He is, when you take racing aside and really try to dive in and get to know who Bubba Wallace is as a person, where he came from to where he is now. He is a very likable person, in my opinion. I know there's incidents that happen at Talladega that kind of rub some people the wrong way and how things played out. And I'm not going to dive into that, but I know who I see right now. And, he's a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. He's going to come and bring you the best he's got. And he holds himself accountable too. You talked about Texas last year. We thought Bubba's got this race won. It didn't happen. And he flat out said he choked. He owned that himself. There's been multiple times where he's been down on himself. He had the incident at Chicago 2 weeks ago. You have guys like Kevin Harvick stepping up for Bubba Wallace and saying, "You be you," and shake it off.
And the rest will work
Let's
itself
move
out,
on.
Bubba.
Absolutely, and it does. I mean, sure, his pocketbook's $50,000 lighter, but you know, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna hurt him in the long run, like it would you or I. And he
Right.
he picks up, he moves along, and he learned from it. Even he said he feel like it has changed him a little bit and gave him some different perspective. But I don't think, for 1 second, that you can count him out. I don't. We got a handful of races left until the postseason is here, and there are opportunities on tracks that he's run pretty well on, to maybe get a win or point himself in. So why
Absolutely.
not?
Absolutely. So we'll do one more thing because we're getting to pretty close to that hour mark. That's kind of what we were aiming for. And let me just go ahead and thank you right off the bat, man. This has been an awesome first episode. So much information covered, so much opinions to be discussed. Both Pocono and Indianapolis. It's really exciting that they're heading back to Indy for the oval race.
Yeah,
Look
I'm
forward to
pumped.
seeing
I'm
everybody.
pumped.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to seeing everybody kiss those bricks after an oval race again. This is the 30-year anniversary from when Jeff Gordon won the inaugural BrickYard 400, followed by Dale Earnhardt Sr. I know that's not technically his name, but Dale Earnhardt won the second race at BrickYard. So it's going to be an awesome race. Give me a pick and give me a dark horse, bud.
Okay, well, as we saw today, that track was really slick. It's got newer pavement on it. Um, it's going to be hard to pick against the 45 car this weekend. Honestly, yeah, you could call it a homer pick. My nasty beast
Hey,
driver,
okay.
but
There is no wrong answer.
that car's a rocket ship. So, and I felt good about it before he even laid practice laps that he was going to unload and be really good here.
Right.
And I'm going to take Tyler Reddick for a second win at Indianapolis.
Okay.
That's right. I said his second win at Indianapolis. The first was on the road course. But let's get him an oval win. My dark horse pick, you could comb through, look through the top, I mean, there's a handful of drivers that I would love to see get a win. Again, my dude Christopher Bell, but one of the dark horses, they showed up with speed again this week. And if it wasn't for engine failure, who knows how things would have played out at Pocono for a 54 team in Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is on the verge. He is on the verge. He had really good lap speed or lap average speed again this weekend. That car was really good at Pocono last weekend, consistent up front. And, the engine unfortunately grenaded on him, ruined his day. But that's not his fault. So on to this weekend. We'll see what they can do. He's my dark horse pick for the weekend.
Love those two picks. I've actually picked Ty Gibbs a few times this season, not as a dark horse, but actually straight up. I fully expected him to have his first win by now. One thing about Ty Gibbs, and I know, again, like most drivers, they have their fans that love him and their fans that don't like him as much, and that's just how the sport is. But the kid can drive. Let's get the family stuff. Let's kind of let that go now because he's proved that he belongs in the Cup Series in that Toyota Camry XSE for Joe Gibbs Racing. And yeah, absolutely, it's 100% possible that he rattles off his first win here at the Indy BrickYard. As far as I'm going to go ahead and start with my dark horse and another guy that came out of Xfinity, kind of upsetting a lot of people simultaneously as Ty Gibbs, but Noah Gragson. This guy, listen, I wasn't a huge fan of Noah in the Xfinity series, but man, I have grown the respect that I have, and I know it's just my opinion. I'm just a podcaster on YouTube, but he has changed my opinion in the matter of a year and a half. As far as his personality, as far as his mindset towards racing. And he's putting together a lot of consistent finishes week in and week out, unless he gets caught up in trouble, which happens with a lot of teams. But as far as dark horse, no pun intended in that Ford Mustang dark horse, look for Noah Gragson to be one of those guys, and how special it would be for Stuart Haas to get that win at Indy before they decide to start closing garage doors. I think the rumor was earlier we talked that they're bringing one car back. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it sounds like Gene Haas has decided I am keeping one of my 4 charters, and they appointed Cole Custer as their driver with an RFK Alliance.
And congratulations to Cole Custer fans for him coming back to Cup. That's really exciting for him and all his fans.
Yeah, that is exciting. And, that RFK Alliance, I know RFK was one of the teams rumored to try to get a charter to expand their team. So I guess that puts them out of the running for that, kind of picking up, the cousin team, kind of like how Penske has Wood Brothers.
Right.
RFK will have, another Ford, keeping a Ford team, which also that's kind of a win for Ford too, because some of these charters were kind of dispersing all over the place. We know one of them is going to Front Row Motorsports. So
and one's going to 2311. That's the rumor, even though
that's the rumor.
The reports I've read, they can't announce that until January 1st, 2025. I actually read that online, that's when they have planned their announcement of adding a team or not. Now, the fact that they have that lined up makes me believe they probably have a charter lined up, and they're going to announce it on January 1st.
Right.
So, Noah Gragson is my dark horse. Somebody that we haven't brought up this entire episode. Do not count out Denny Hamlin in that JGR number 11 FedEx car. I believe he's actually is he in Sport Clips this year or this Indy race?
Yep. Yeah.
He's in Sports Clips. So he's actually not in the FedEx 11. He's in the Sports Clips 11. Denny Hamlin is just a master of his class, true Hall of Famer. I've never been an 11 fan, but I respect greatness. And Denny Hamlin is one of those men that we will miss when he's no longer taking green flags at the beginning of these races. The guy is polarizing. He has attacked this villain role like nothing I've ever seen. He is loving it. And I think Denny didn't have to take that villain role because he had a teammate like Kyle Busch that took a lot of that for him. So he could just kind of, do his thing, rattle off 80 wins or whatever he's at now, 60 wins. And now that he doesn't have that kind of villain, which very well could have been Ty Gibbs, but Ty Gibbs kind of took a different route when he came into Cup. Denny Hamlin says, you know what? This is my time. And I would not be surprised if Denny Hamlin lifts that trophy at the end of the season, unless he runs into some typical Denny Hamlin luck and just has a string of bad luck like we've seen him struggle with before. But give me Denny Hamlin in the 11 car to win the BrickYard 400. I know that's a little bit against the grain. I think he's starting second next to Tyler Reddick. So those two Toyotas will be leading, I believe, 39 race cars to the green flag tomorrow afternoon. It's really exciting for everyone. I hope the crowd shows out. I know a lot of people were barking at NASCAR to bring it back to the oval here at Indianapolis. So let's see if NASCAR fans can put their money where their mouth is and show up for these boys.
I do want to just say one thing about that, though. And if people freak out by seeing empty stands, please understand that Indianapolis Motor Speedway is ridiculously huge. I think can hold 200 some thousand people. That is a lot. That is a lot of human beings. Right. And I mean, I know Pocono was a sellout crowd, and that holds between, I don't know, 50 to 70,000 or 70,000 people we had there last weekend at Pocono. I'm pretty confident in that number, but I mean, we're talking about 200 plus thousand and 70,000 on it, and at last week at Pocono, because of the weather delays, people were fighting to get in there and fill those stands, but they did show up in the masses. So don't panic if you we want a good crowd for sure. Would it be great to see 250,000 people plus show up at Indy? Sure. Is it probably going to happen? No. But we want to see a strong,
that's on
strong
the fans.
Number. Yeah.
That's on the fans too.
It is.
There's not 250,000 people in there because they're too busy online talking about how there's not 250,000 people there.
Yeah. If I had the opportunity, I'd be there because it's going to be one heck of a show tomorrow. I am itching for 2:00 Eastern tomorrow to watch this
Can't
race.
wait for opening ceremonies and the flyover, and I'm excited for those guys to cross over the bricks for a huge racing weekend and kicking off our Olympic break. For those listening, we are still going to run a couple more shows during the break, just bringing you kind of up-to-date news and stuff that NASCAR is going through. I know a lot of us are going to be enjoying the Olympics and from their respective countries, all of those athletes that are about to perform for the world. Good luck and hats off to you guys. I know I couldn't do it, so just that much more respect to every single athlete that's competing the next 3 weeks. But yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as far as our first episode, man, I think that was pretty awesome. A lot of
great
topics.
Really fun.
Yeah, a lot of great topics covered. I look forward to our second episode coming up. This was Side Draft Media. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, and I really look forward to seeing y'all at the next one. Ryan, you have a good night, sir.